Hello everyone, Fraczon here, and today we're going to be doing something slightly different than usual, as today, instead of having live commentary, I will be doing an ex-post commentary, and this has mostly been for the fact that I really botched up the audio on my previous videos, and it proved to be a quite interesting game, so I thought that it would have been really a pity to have it go to waste, and I thought it would have been better to share it with you guys, albeit, let's say, commentating it afterwards. So, what we can say from the beginning is that I chose the Kuma Tier 4 Japanese cruiser. So, just a little bit of stats while the game is slowly, let's say, undergoing the beginning initial phase, in which they're still like trying to find the opponent. That's mostly the most boring part of the game. So just a little bit, just a few facts. The maximum range, the Kuma was fully upgraded at the time of the video. Maximum range was 12.4 kilometers. It has 6 guns for a full broadside. It has a total of 7, but on the broadside you can only expose up to 6. The reload time is, to be honest, phenomenal. It has a 6-second reload time, so that means you can fire 10 salvos per minute. And also, torpedo-wise, they have a 7-kilometer range that is fantastic. And additionally, you have 4 tubes, so you can bear on the enemy 2 tubes per broadside, so that means for a total of 4 torpedoes. It has the ability of the scout plane. I think it has pretty decent durability with about 24k health, and yeah, that pretty much, let's say, sums it up for the armaments of the ship. As we see now more into the game, I'm just trying to find my position here and scouting around for the enemy, but still not finding much activity. I do see on the radar some cruisers approaching, and I think those are reasonable targets to be facing. I mean, as you've seen in all other past videos, I don't care. Like, I know cruisers are meant to be killing other cruisers or destroyers, but hey, if a battleship pops up and maybe you have another 2 supporting ships, you can also take on battleships. It's really not much of a big deal. Anything can be done. Of course, then they hit you twice and they citadel you twice and you sink. But then that's just part of the game. So here I see a lot of torpedo spamming, and I decide to fire off my first salvo. The leads seem pretty good, and yeah, just checking, maybe the first time I was actually leading a bit too much. So no hits on the first salvo. That's a St. Louis down there. And then again, of course, using HE, and I managed to get the target set on fire. That's always good, and you see the St. Louis using the repair there since it's not on fire anymore. So now if I set it on fire again, that's gonna, let's say, cause major pain. But as we can see, there's also actually torpedoes going towards it. So if those torpedoes were to be causing flooding, that would mean that, let's say, for the next, I don't know, about a minute 20 seconds, there would be no repair available, and that actually means taking in a considerable amount of damage. So as you can see, I'm just spamming around my shots, not exactly very precise there. I'm just firing a salvo to a dead ship. I must say I might have been not super aware there. I might have been tunnel visioning a bit. The smoke screen indicates that there's some destroyer here in the area, so I'm actually very wary of what might happen. I mean, I do have a ship in front of me that's broadsiding also, so that may eventually, let's say, be a bit of a torpedo spotter and may eat some torpedoes instead of me. I try here a lucky shot on, again, another St. Louis behind the rocks. Just trying my luck and actually getting some pretty good rewarding hits. So I was feeling rather secure, let's say, running behind the island. I would see that there's a cruiser, there's also a battleship. The battleship is just within range at 12.1 kilometers. But I will be honest, I was tunnel visioning quite strongly on the St. Louis, and just because I had had the good salvo before, and I thought, well, I think this is an engagement I can win. After all, the St. Louis is a tier 3 and I'm a tier 4, so I should win the engagement. And there the St. Louis does eat a torpedo. I keep firing at it, and also a good set on fire, so I hope another repair can be consumed. I'm actually a pretty big fan of playing, let's say, from a repair-wise point of view. And there we go, another set on fire, and as always, hoping to cause major damage. And I must say the damage I'm doing for HE shells has been pretty good. I mean, it's been ranging between 1,000 and 3,000, and I'll take it. And hopefully here I can actually sink the St. Louis. I do get the final shot on it, so first kill of the match. And of course we're off to a good start, especially for the fact that I haven't yet get any hits. I might have used the scout plane here, but I guess I was, let's say, too concentrated on trying to spot, let's say, additional enemies, and let's say my main preoccupation, I think, during the game was being, let's say, two things actually worry me most of the times, is being out of position in terms of just like being the first in line towards the enemy, and you really don't want to be doing that, especially as a cruiser, or otherwise like being too far from the action. Although with a fast cruiser like the Kuma, that's a very relative problem. That's something you usually tend to encounter when you play Battleship, and then maybe you're at one end of the map, you kill one ship, and then you just realize that the rest of the action is just like completely somewhere else, and basically you're useless for the rest of the game. So now here I'm trying to get some lucky shots on this battleship that is hiding behind the island. I wasn't exactly sure if it was moving, let's say, backwards or forward, but then I saw another battleship. I think initially I was completely blind to it and was really aiming for the one behind the mountain. But then I seem to be finding my range, start firing away my broadsides, hopefully getting some more set-on fires. But I must say, with a reload time of 6 seconds, it's I think the DPS output is really, really fantastic. Even though you may be hitting just for, I don't know, 500, 1,000, in this case you saw like 800, maybe they're not, let's say, particularly significant shots considered, let's say, individually, but when you all add them up and you see I'm already up to about 50 hits, eventually they do stack up and they start doing damage. And here we see another hit for about 2,000, and let's say these torpedoes were kind of wasted because they have a good range of 7 kilometers, but let's say I was probably hoping in a bit of a miracle to be hitting something. And here I just went in a bit of a battleship frenzy because I just kept seeing, let's say, immobile battleships not firing on my ship, and I'm like, okay, fantastic, I'm just gonna try to set everything on fire, or at least because like what I think is that cruisers tend to annoy battleships. I don't think they can make individually they can make some good damage, but in the end of the day they get sunk. So I'm like, I'll try to harass, play support, and here I actually decide to send my scout plane. Eventually I decide it's a good idea, and once again firing on the battleship, just trying to slowly chip away at its health. First salvo was a bit, let's say, not perfect. The second seemed to be getting a bit better, but you see how easy aim adjustment is when you're firing once every 6 seconds. You have, even visually, I think it's much easier to follow your shots. And that might also be a reason why I'm having a bit of trouble as a player playing battleships, because with 30 seconds reload times, it's not easy. Oh, and here with the torpedoes, I was absolutely blind to them, completely oblivious. And here I'm actually quite lucky. I was thinking I might have even many more torpedoes than just one. I think it was okay, partially a good dodge, but also partially lucky, because I was completely first of all, I was completely unaware of torpedoes. But what's worse is that I was completely unaware that there was like a completely undefended aircraft carrier just standing rather close, because as you can see it's about at 8-point-something kilometers. And for me, being a cruiser with such a fast reload rate, that's like the prize at the end of the day. You really don't, you can't ask for more. So just here it's just like easy shots. 3,000 damage, 1,000 damage, 700, and just, you know, it's very easy to kill an aircraft carrier, especially as a cruiser. You have fast reload rate, and even if planes comes in, you should have, let's say, good anti-aircraft, although let's say the Kuma isn't particularly, at least at these lower tiers, anti-aircraft is still, let's say, a pretty big approximation. It's rather ineffective. You don't really have the armaments yet And so this is like, I think this is just like the relaxing part of the game where you're just sinking an immobile ship that quite frankly can't return fire in any way. I mean, sure, it can send you dive bombers, but at the moment I'm very aware of the fact that there are dive bombers in the area, and actually the dive bombers are rather ignoring me. And 3,600 damage with HE shells I think is just really good. And so I'm gradually, let's say, working my way up to those 100 hits, but like at the moment it's looking pretty good. I didn't get the kill on the carrier, but actually that's more of a question of vanity. I don't really care. The important thing is that I'm contributing to the team, doing the damage. Then who gets, let's say, the killing blow is completely irrelevant. And I do like how the system in World of Warships actually doesn't, let's say, base your points and experience on the killing blows, but rather on how much damage you've been doing and generally how much you've been contributing to it. So I must say I do find that a good system. It just pushes you, I think, to be not to fight over petty things like, oh, I got the last shot. I mean, who cares? It's more about how much damage have you done, how much did you contribute to the kill. And here, a little note to self is what I was talking about before. I'm completely out of position. I think the carrier did a pretty smart move because, well, I mean, the carrier was already hiding in itself, but what it did is that basically there's a little tactics in terms of maps that it drew us away from, let's say, the fight. I mean, if we're cruisers, so we can get back still relatively easily, but still taking out two ships in the sense that they're far away and can't really fire down on enemies is fantastic. It can give you number superiority, even though in terms of overall terms maybe the team was at a disadvantage. So I think maybe I might have left the other cruiser to finish off the like before, when I encountered the aircraft carrier. I might have considered just like leaving it to the other cruiser that for sure could have handled it very easily. But then again, here I'm again in the fray. Just that last salvo might have risked hitting my allies, and I'm trying to somehow defend the battleship. I see a South Carolina moving, let's say, behind the rocks, and I'm like, sure, torpedoes. I must say, here at the time of this video, I was still really bad with leading torpedoes. I think those torpedoes by far leading far too little. And so I'm off, and I'm like, well, never mind. I mean, I've had so many hits, I've been trying to, let's say, contribute, and here I'm very lucky that the enemy battleship doesn't manage to hit me. I set him on fire immediately, that's good. I actually noticed that the enemy doesn't really have that much life, could be around 20%, maybe a bit less. And with my fire rate, I think, at least when I'm playing, I thought, well, sure, I might take it down, I might be able to. And then again, here I spot another battleship, and here maybe I do realize that maybe I should have kept the torpedoes for this occasion, because I'm much closer, was before it was a bit of, let's say, a wild guess. I do not approve of myself firing, let's say, the torpedoes in such a narrow angle. I think that was a considerable mistake. I also botched up the following up shot, and I think here in terms of this cruiser, I should not have even considered taking on the torpedoes. It would have been meaningless. By the time they would have arrived, I would have, that might most definitely, I'm just like losing time there. And my steering though is broken, so that will actually cause me some problems, because I've just used I just repaired. So here I'm thinking, well, I'm looking considerably dead, just because my steering will be out. I don't know what I'm waiting for these torpedoes. They are not leading enough, at least I don't think so. Watching the replay again, I actually don't remember by heart how the game went. But maybe they will be okay. I don't remember if the battleship manages to avoid them. The fact is that I'm just completely impaired. When they just get your engine, you're just dead. You're just sitting in the water. I'm lucky this guy is just missing me completely. So the torpedoes do hit, but they don't kill him yet, unless he has flooding and he won't be able to repair. And I'm just waiting for my repair, only it's 30 seconds away, and basically everything is completely broken on my ship. But I think it was a valiant effort overall to try and stop this battleship. I may have been a bit, and I managed to destroy it, that's good, but maybe if I'd used my torpedoes in a slightly more effective way, maybe I had them available before, I might have been able to perform a little better. But all in all, I get killed, of course, but I have 165 shots, 11 on fires, torpedo hits. I really can't complain. I really enjoy the ship so much, and I guess that when you enjoy a ship, you just feel it. You just, when it feels good, I think you also tend to play better. There's much less pressure, and and actually I have not yet found a cruiser that satisfies my taste so much. I've been doing some other cruiser gameplay, but it's just not as gratifying. So, having seen this, I'm glad you watched, and I hope you enjoyed this match as much as I did.